Yeah, that was so weird. That's when it got just strange.
DuckTales is a show that was rebooted from like the 80s or something.
DuckTales is a quacktastic adventure that is ducky and taily.
DuckTales is a fun ride with Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc. And Scrooge.
And Launchpad and Hebby or something like that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. And today we are doing the rebooted version of DuckTales on Disney Plus, right? This is 2016 DuckTales. The original was like in the 80s, something like that. We have a very special guest. Her name is Bethany Bodin. How are you, Beth?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Awesome. Thanks very much. We have our very special guest co-host, Rico E. Anderson. Both of them are actors.
Oh, nice.
Hello. Great to be back on the other side of things with all things WTF.
Perfect. And this month, all month long, we are doing rebooted cartoons. So all the cartoons that you saw when you were a kid, or you didn't see when you were a kid, or you heard of, we are watching all the rebooted versions because people love to reboot things nowadays, whether that's a good or bad thing. Who knows?
It's all the rage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my special Triclops shirt for the occasion. And he talks like this. He goes, "Hey, today we're doing reboots." That's what he kind of sounds like. Anyway.
It's weird. It almost looked like the mouth was moving there when you did that.
Right. Sure. Personality all its own.
All right. Well, let's just get into it. Rico, do you have any clue where we start?
I think it would be good to start in describing exactly what this thing called DuckTales is all about.
Close. We are going to make predictions. We're going to predict if the other person liked this show or not. Rico's usually really good at this. It's kind of intimidating. By the way, everybody, if you'd like us to review a show, especially if it's a rebooted cartoon, in the comments below, just type WTF and that show. So make sure you type that in the comments below, and we will definitely maybe do a review on that. So Rico, I predict that you liked this show. I predict that you had seen this show before. You already nodded and agreed, so you gave it away. And that you kind of liked it before, and I think you enjoyed this show a bit. Beth, I believe you also liked this show, but I got a hint a little while ago, so I'm not going to divulge what that hint was, but I think you also liked this show. I think you both liked it pretty high. Rico, what are your predictions?
Ryan, I think that you liked the show but wanted more, but you liked it based on the nostalgia of it all, and it's a nice callback to all things Disney and all things Ducks. Bethany, I think that you enjoyed the show because pretty much similar to Ryan, it's a callback to all things Disney and how we all grew up, presumably under Disney's watchful gaze and their watchingfulness of us when we were coming home from school and waiting for our parents to get home.
I'm gonna do a quick online order, Rico, and send you some coffee. I'm sure they could deliver that, right? Beth, sure. Do you have any predictions?
I think Rico liked it, and I think you liked it too. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, it was a fun, sort of adventure, and I was very, the theme song brought you back to like you said, nostalgia, and just being a kid in the 80s and watching DuckTales and just going along for that ride, with Scrooge and Donald, the nephews. Yeah, I think you both enjoyed it.
All
Now,
right.
would
Interesting
we
predictions.
now the name of this prediction section, correct me if I'm wrong, is called predilections. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah?
we'll see.
Predilections.
Hey, if you're the special guest co-host, I think you can call it whatever you'd like.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
right? Everybody at home, go ahead and make your predictions now. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Bethany liked it? Do you think Rico liked it? The wordsmith. Let us know either in the comments below, or if you're watching in the live chat, type it away in there. Take your time. There's no big rush. Rico's going to buy you some time by telling us all what this show is even about.
Yes. Here we go. DuckTales. The comedy adventure series chronicles the high-flying adventures of trillionaire Scrooge McDuck, his temperamental nephew Donald Duck, grandnephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie, we know them well, Launchpad McQuack, and Mrs. Beakley, and her granddaughter Webby.
Nice.
Webby. That was the name we were trying to remember. Webby.
Webby.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. Rico, do you know what this one's called, or do you want to make something up?
We're going to call this next one Next Elections.
Okay.
All right.
Not to be confused with any other elections.
Mm-hmm. We compare and contrast what we expected before we watched this first episode with what we actually got. So we won't give away too much initially, but then we'll give everything away, if you can believe that, because we are excited to do so, I think.
Yeah.
Rico, before you watched this first episode of DuckTales, entitled, what was it called, by the way? Oh, yeah, it was called Woo. Woo,
Yeah.
Woo dash Ooh.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Rico, before you watched this first episode, what did you actually expect, if anything?
I expected that Disney magic. I expected that fun and nostalgia of all things Disney, of all things Donald Duck, and that extension of it all. I expected to be wild again as an adult, like I was as a kid. That's
Intimidating. All right.
That's all I wrote.
Right. Yeah.
Beth, what did you expect before you watched this episode, if anything?
Honestly, I didn't have very high expectations. You know, it was. I loved it so much as a kid, but when they brought back the song and you know, when Scrooge finally swam in the gold, like it brought back a lot of like the quintessential DuckTales. You know what I mean? So I liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I appreciated it for what it was.
Slow start, hard finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, what about you? What were you thinking?
Well, that's an excellent question. I'll tell you what I expected before I watched this first episode. When I was a kid and this show was playing and my friends were like, oh my God, we got to watch DuckTales. I was like, nah, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was, because there was a competing cartoon at that 3:30 slot after school. I remember what it was called. It was called Rhino Saucers. And it was called Rhino Saucers. And it was like alien dinosaurs or something. I don't know what it was, but I was like, that is way more my speed. You guys can watch your freaking DuckTales, and I'm going to watch my dinosaur aliens. And I think this one lasted a lot longer and did much better, but whatever. So I expected it to be okay, because Disney doesn't usually pump out garbage. They're usually pretty good. So I thought it was going to be okay. And I was going to finally see if this show was any good, even though it is a rebooted version of it. But that's what we expected. Rico, upon watching this first episode, what did you actually get?
Yeah, I got a little bit of the nostalgia. I I got a sense of adventure. I got cool, cool uh, re-welcomes to old characters and new characters, and I got pretty much what almost almost what I expected in terms of a reboot and a Disney type of show.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Beth? What did you actually get upon viewing this first episode?
I will agree, with Rico with the sense of adventure. They pulled out no stops with Scrooge. I mean, from the beginning, of course he was super, Scroogey, but by the end he was just, back on top. He was like the character for me. And I mean, honestly, I couldn't understand half of what Donald Duck was saying, but I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the character for sure. So, but I mean, like I said, I expected less and got more out of it. So I was pleased to say the least watching it. Yeah. What about
Nice.
you? Yeah.
Well, it was good. It was good. I was a little bit of a curmudgeon about it, but it was a good, solid first episode as far as, a script is concerned. Like, it was, I have no major complaints or qualms with it at all. I think they did a solid first episode, and let's just get into it. I had no idea that this show was about it took like a hard turn towards the end. All of a sudden they started talking about dragons and demons and ghosts and all. Was that what the first one was about?
Yeah.
I mean, was the original show, had either of you seen the original show before?
Yeah, I have. I mean, it's been a minute, it's been years. Yeah. So it was, you're right. It did take a hard turn. Right. I mean, everything was just haunted and it came to life and just everything. So,
was the original show about that kind of stuff, like the supernatural and dragons?
I don't remember.
It was always about.
I don't think so. I don't remember it being that way. Yeah, definitely. It was just like just getting out of trouble and just like going on random adventures, but it wasn't like trying to slay dragons and like going, you know what I mean? So, but yeah.
I don't remember it being because in the pilot it was showing that the kids have released some sort of like mystical, like they released all these mystical beings or things, so that was the adventure. And I don't remember that being the reason why they took off on all of those adventures and stuff, but that might have been an addition if I remember correctly. The granddaughter, was it the granddaughter or the niece? She's a new addition, right?
Webby,
yeah.
I don't know. I will say I was surprised. I actually recognized the dude with the hat, Launchpad, and I actually knew his name. I was like, "Oh, that's Launchpad," and I was like, "How the do I know this?" Maybe I had seen an episode or two, and I didn't know, but I knew that was Launchpad. But yeah, I didn't recognize this girl. Was that a new? I feel like that was probably new. Webby was her name.
Webby, yeah.
She has a robot leg. Look at that. She has a robot leg, a cybernetic leg. Didn't realize that. Maybe that happens later. But other than that, it was all the same characters as before, right? And could we always understand what Donald Duck said? I never knew he spoke.
You have to really be like, huh? Like you have to really.
Have you actually looked at the actor?
For the most part, you can hear what he's saying, but
right, but you can't make out the words.
You understand what he's saying, but you just don't understand it.
Crazy. So, yeah. Donald Duck historically has always been kind of like, he says he'll say things, but I don't think they've ever done like a full. I don't know if you could watch a full movie with Donald Duck just talking, because
you would need subtitles.
You would need some major supporting characters. I mean, I know movies have been made and stuff like that, but oh man, you go crazy after 10 minutes of it.
Oh, 100%.
but as a kid though, you don't see all that. You don't even think in those
Right.
terms of that. You're just like, hey, Donald Duck, ooh, woo. So,
He definitely has some anger management issues, to say the least.
yeah, historically that's been done.
That was
For sure.
actually
Yeah.
one of my big laugh moments was when he like totally had a little tantrum. I was like, okay, that's funny. That's
He's getting pissed.
that was
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few funny moments, and that was definitely one. Now, obviously, it was just like a kind of a sight gag or a noise gag, but it totally worked for me for some reason. And what was up with that headless man horse?
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was so weird. That's when it got just strange. It
Yeah.
started going into other weird mystical territories. I don't know.
Right. Like the whole yeah. Yeah, it was
That
a
was
little
strange.
disturbing.
Bethany,
Yeah.
what did you think about that when you what were your
The headless man horse?
yeah.
I kind of got a laugh out of it, but I was also like semi disturbed because I was watching it, and then the head came on. It was just, and then he's. It's really hard to describe because I'm like, where did he go? You know what I mean? He just like galloped on out and just, you know what I mean? Like went around Duckland or whatever it's called. Probably scared. I yes, it was special to say the least.
Yeah. And maybe like all the other like creatures, there's a story there. And maybe they revisited it. Who knows?
Oh, maybe it'll come back in a later episode.
Maybe.
You never know.
She's
You never know.
That's what I think. It's
Yeah.
entirely possible. I think that the writing was actually really well done and really good. So I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't planting these seeds for future episodes. I mean, they did plant the seed with initially when they're like, "What, Scrooge McDuck, Uncle Scrooge? Isn't he the guy that A, B, C, and D?" And then they end up going into the garage and seeing A, B, C, and D. So they could also do
Right.
that in future episodes as well. It's really cool. I thought that was. Let me see. There are a few other funny. What were their names? Louis, I don't know what he's short for, but Huey was Hubert. Dewey was Duford. Scrooge
Lewis,
McDuck.
maybe?
What?
Lewis?
Cox.
Lewis?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
And Launchpad McQuack. I also thought it was funny when they were arriving in the car and they were excited to meet Uncle Scrooge and they're like flipping out in the back seat. One of them actually rolls out of the window and onto the roof of the car. Like, it's funny. I don't know why it's funny, but it worked.
Yeah, it made me laugh out loud.
I love the part where they were mentioning like, well, what about, and I'm paraphrasing here, I think it was like, well, what about the hose of destiny? And what about the thing of stuff and the blah, 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 in the mystical cave and whatnot? And dude was just like, hey, it's just my garage. He like hits the garage opener and they're like, oh.
Yeah, that was cute.
It was all very clever.
Yeah, it kind of helped to kill some of the mysticism, even though there still was a lot, but they were expecting, it was almost like they were expecting kind of like an Indiana Jones Temple of Doom type of scenario with that particular.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then these are also kids too. So, as kids, we have vivid imaginations and we have the type of just minds that go in so many different areas. So, and I can also see why they would be fascinated by their Uncle Scrooge McDuck because they've heard of his adventures and, he was that cool uncle,
Were they all supposed to be like Scottish or something? Well,
Oh,
because I mean, not just that Scrooge had a Scottish accent, right? But they're all McDuck, McQuack. Well, the other one was Vanderquack, so maybe that's more like Dutch. But what is that a thing? Are they all supposed to be like Scottish? And didn't he have a kilt?
I'm not sure. Well, first of all, we should acknowledge the fact that Scrooge McDuck is played by none other than Mr. David Tennant, the 10th Doctor of Doctor Who. Yeah, that was like a huge thing when this cartoon came out. So David Tennant is Scottish. So maybe there is a Scottish background there. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
Lord knows what Donald is, but yeah, as far as everybody else, is like, there you go.
Right.
We also have to address the other elephant in the room, which is none of these guys wear pants.
None of them.
At any point
Nope.
ever. And at one point, Donald Duck was naked in the kitchen, and he puts a towel on to cover himself up, and then puts on a shirt. I'm like, bro, we're not worried about your chest. That's not the problem. That's not what you need to be covering up. So this is a real thing, then, huh? They're everywhere. Well, actually, no. Wait a second. The girl here is not. What about Launchpad? Does she's wearing shorts. What about Launchpad? Does he wear pants? Maybe it's just a family thing.
They just want to be really.
Go ahead, Bethany.
No, I said that they're just letting it all air out. They just want to be really comfortable. Why not, right?
And in the world, but you know how like back then cartoons had a lot of that. Pants, but shirts, but no pants. From Disney to
which is it's random. Like why not pants?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking it up right now, and it looks like Launchpad does have pants, and I'm guessing the grandma probably has pants. Otherwise, I bet we would have noticed that. So it's just the kids, the uncle, and the dad. There's just maybe it's a style. It's a fashion option. Well,
Disney fashion.
Let's ask the most important question right now, which is, who is your favorite character, Rico, out of all of these wonderful people? Ducks. Sorry, not people.
I like Scrooge McDuck. I love his attitude. I love just the things that he just witnesses and comments on. And I loved like that back and forth between him and Donald when they first like show up face to face. And he's fun. He's fun. He's quirky. I love that he's playing an elder statesman who's just as agile as a 14-year-old, and he was swinging on that thing, I can't remember, he was holding something, and it's just like, old man adventures. So cool.
Old man adventures.
Duck is my favorite.
That kind of reminds me of Up. Remember how there was like the two old guys battling in Up in Pixar, that movie Up? One of the best movies ever for Disney, in my opinion. Probably, in my opinion, it's the best Disney movie I've ever seen, Pixar. Beth, did you have a favorite character? And if so, who was it?
I appreciated, who was it? Dewey? Just his, his little self-confidence and his sense of adventure, and whenever he's trying to cross from one side to the other, just like doing his whole little dance and just figuring everything out. He was smart and humorous, and I think he was the coolest of the three little kids, to be honest. And stood up to Scrooge and everything's fake, and you know what I mean. It was I think he was great. He was my favorite for sure.
Maybe Huey is short for humorous.
Maybe.
Dewey was the blue guy, right? I wrote these down.
Yeah.
Dewey was blue guy, Huey was red guy, and Louie was green guy. That is green. I wasn't able to discern the differences in their personalities, but the blue guy was like the cool one. What was the personality of red and green?
I feel like the one in the red shirt was more like the brains, like the nerdy one, sort of, just the smart, doing everything by the book. And then I feel like the one in the green was just more like the cool kid, like, hey, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be awesome, and like I'm the coolest one out of my family. You know what I mean? Is he the one that did the roll over the car, or was it?
I can't remember who it was.
Because I'm thinking about it, that would be appropriate because he's just basket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I didn't really have a favorite. I guess maybe Scrooge I don't know though. It's tough because they introduced so many characters. It was tough for me to get a really good feel of all of them. I thought that I was going to like Launchpad the most, but we didn't really get much of him yet. But I feel like I remember when we were kids, the kids liked Launchpad. Like he was the cool one. But so I expected to like him. But yeah, I don't know. I think just the three boys in general were fun. Didn't really get to learn much about the others yet.
Right.
I'll say this though, I was actually surprised that you didn't see more of Launchpad in that spotlight position because of his popularity before. And sure, they're launching this with the understanding that you will get more of him, but I would think that if anything, you would have that in the beginning, or not. Well, in the first episode, just showcase more. What was funny was when Scrooge McDuck, they said something about him flying the plane, and Scrooge was like, "I didn't know he was a pilot," or something like that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
But I don't know. Launchpad just always seemed like the cool one, like the cool. He's the pilot. He's got the jacket on. He's like, "Hey, I fly a plane."
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
One of the ghosts, it was the first thing we saw was Captain Peghook. So I was like, is that going to be a character, like a recurring character? I don't know. I got a little thrown off by that, but I think it's maybe one of those things where they're just like, don't worry too much about it. That's just the show's going to have, ghosts and goblins and dragons and maybe returning enemies. I don't know. I just thought that was actually really good, even though I wasn't expecting it and it felt a little forced. I feel like it maybe told us what to expect finally, because it was a pilot episode, which is probably what Launchpad wanted the most.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe he wanted his own show. Maybe he wanted a solo Launchpad series or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like a spinoff. Oh, that'd be cute. Just flying plane.
Yeah. Huh? The Adventures of Launchpad, The Rise of Launchpad, the Launchpad.
There we go. Exactly.
Another funny moment to me was when Scrooge said, Huey, Dewey, and the third one. That was also funny. Right. Like there are a lot of these little funny moments that I didn't, or like when one of the kids says, "At least it's not the marble room." That's funny. A marble room. I don't know. Anyway, those were my laugh-a minutes. And also when Scrooge pulled out a flip phone, I was like, Jesus. What's going on? I don't know. Do you guys have any funny moments?
Well, I thought it was funny every time the kids called him old. You know what I mean? Like, Sonny, I don't call you old man, or whatever it was that he said. It was hysterical because it's just like calling him out. Just like they did whenever, he was sitting at the table and he didn't want to talk to any of them. And they're like, "You're old, you used to be relevant," or whatever they said. And he just got so angry. So those were funny moments for me. Yeah.
Well, going back to the flip phone, I think that's funny. I mean, because this show only came out 3 years ago or something like that. And we weren't really rocking flip phones then. But for some reason, Scrooge got that flip phone. So.
I feel like we were closer to flip phones in the 80s than we are now. What I mean? But maybe not. But this was like 2017. So maybe that was still, or maybe they're just demonstrating how old he was.
Maybe.
Right.
It was deliberate.
Holding on to older technology.
Yeah.
But his phone was gold, right? Like it was the color. The flip phone, it was gold, right?
Oh, was it? I missed that.
I think I could be wrong, but I think his phone was gold. That was real gold. Yeah,
nice flex there.
Maybe for the gold to stay put and not break apart, the only way he could have the phone is it be a flip phone. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I am crazy.
Yeah, maybe. Well, tell you what. We got more important things to do right now, which is, Beth, it is time to talk about you for a moment, if that's okay. You are an actress. You've got something new in the works. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's a short film. It's called Reunion. A friend of mine who writes books actually helped me out with the script. It's about 25 pages. It's about this girl who gets invited to her 10-year high school reunion, and she goes back, and it's about a lot of cliches too. I wanted it to be sort of like a John Hughes feel, like 16 Candles or Breakfast Club or something like that. And it's funny because she stood up a guy at prom, and then she ends up going to the small town, and he's the bartender, and she's still angry. And then she meets the popular girl who's pregnant with like 18 kids, and then the jock who's like now fat and alcoholic, and it's lighthearted, but yeah, like a John Hughes sort of film. So right now I'm just trying to get the funds, find some actors, try and get this off the ground. So if y'all are interested.
Are you playing the lead in this?
Yes.
Nice.
Her name's Darla. Yeah. Darla. Yeah. She's she draws comics for her job. So she's just like a comic book artist and hates her life basically, and drinks a lot of vodka and goes to her high school reunion. And that's about the sum of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be fun.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
Oh no! What were you saying?
Oh, I was just wondering. So, do you write a lot? Was this like your first short film or your first piece?
As far as writing, yes.
Okay.
I haven't really done a lot of that. I mean, I'm not. I'm not really good when it comes to just character development. You know what I mean? I like to leave that to somebody who knows what they're doing. Because my screenplay class, I failed. So I'm just not leave it to the professionals.
Wait a second. You failed your screenplay class. Was it because a lot of these classes, they're telling you, write 10 pages a week, something like that's really tough, especially if you're super busy. Is that kind of what it was, or was it just not your speed?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I didn't like fail it,
Oh.
but my teacher was like, no, this is supposed to be the comic relief, and he's not funny. And this is only 15 pages, and I told you to write 25, and this has no story to it at all. And I was like, okay, cool. Thank you for that. Great. And all that happened when the writers union was like all on strike. So this was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, no, this isn't for me. No, thank you.
As writers, it's literally just a matter of just practice makes perfect, in a big sense, because if you're not writing anything, then it's just all stuck in your head. So it has to be you're doing the right thing as far as just continuing on, and one of the things that I've discovered in this business of entertainment, whether we're actors or writers or producers or whatever, there is no set rules to making it in this business.
Right.
So, beautiful thing about that is we can take all the classes we want, and there's a lot of value in taking classes, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be what we produce and how we produce it as actors, writers, what have you. So, the biggest flex in all of this is the fact that you are still writing. So that's a beautiful thing. And you completed your script and you're about to do it. So,
well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah.
Sweet.
And speaking of classes, you're taking an NYU class. Is that right? What's that about?
I am. So it's the performing arts industry essentials. So it's basically just going through all of theater, Broadway and how that came to life, and just all the way to now, how, Hamilton was like one of the first, he wrote it and started it, and now he's huge. I love him so much. So it's basically just going along, how to, direct, produce, like what all of these specific things are, just to be able to work professionally in the theater. So I'm looking into possibly stage directing, which is a handful and probably more stress than I would like, but it's interesting. At least I would be there, in the theater. If I'm not going to be on the stage, I might as well be behind the scenes and help everything go, smoothly and be there for, you did great, sweetie. Great performance. You know what I mean? Be there to lift people up.
So it sounds like you've got one foot in theater, one foot in film. If somebody were to say that you could live comfortably the rest of your life doing what you love, would that be theater related or film related?
Oh, that's tough. Probably theater related. I just love the energy of, live performance so much, and it changes every night, and it's just such a thrill. So I would have to say theater.
There's nothing like it. I have to agree with you on that. Theater is life every night because you just don't know what to expect. Hopefully, what you expect always happens in terms of it being a great show and wonderful reception and stuff. But hey, those punches you have to roll with, and that's what makes it so challenging. But it's a beautiful thing.
Awesome.
I'm just in it for hours. I'm kidding.
What?
So
the flowers.
for the flowers.
For the flowers. Yeah.
All right. So everybody, stay tuned for all that. We'll keep you updated on the reunion production. Hopefully that will really start picking up shortly, and looking forward to all that good stuff. We'll keep you updated on all that. And also, your social media, we'll include that in the comment section below. Sorry, in the description box below. So now it's time to get to a. Oh wait, Rico, this is when you're supposed to do something weird.
Oh,
nailed it. Perfect.
No whatsoever. We'll just sit here.
It's time for the bottom line. Some people call it the terrible twos. Others call it the bottom line. Rico's probably got a third made up thing to call it. But it's the final two questions of the show. It's the two most important questions of the show. So we save them for the end. And they go a little something like this. Rico E. Anderson, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of DuckTales entitled Woo?
On a scale from 1 to 10, I would have to give the first episode / reboot of DuckTales entitled Woo a 7.6.
Oh.
Don't ask me what the 6 is all about.
Trying to be all fancy with your ratings.
Yeah, got to keep things interesting. 7.6. I enjoyed it. I love my Disney, and you add, like I said earlier, some Doctor Who energy with the voice of David Tennant, and you have a nice production there, and just the fun of that first adventure and stuff like that. But I also saw how there could have definitely been room for improvement in terms of executing the first episode. I felt like, going back to what I was saying before, maybe putting more Launchpad on there and really hyping into that popularity fresh out the box. But I love the introduction of the new characters as well. And I did really like the setup that, would end up being what the whole series is all about in terms of the new adventures and stuff like that. So, yeah. So there you go. 7.6.
Excellent.
Nice.
Beth, your thoughts? Scale of 1 to 10. The pressure's on.
I know. God. 6.8. Following up. I thought that, Scrooge could have been a little more Scroogier. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Again, Launchpad should have had more of a, it's like they made his character stupid almost. Like, I'm a pilot. You know what I mean? And so, I'm excited to see where it goes. And pilot, I have a thing about pilots. I always have to watch at least 2 or 3 in the series to make sure that it's just not, the pilot's just getting all the bugs out, that, maybe these characters are going to be developed a little bit more, and it's not going to be just so, not so, like, not flat, but you know what I mean? And there, the whole ghost thing is weird, and the headless horse made me cringe a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of hope for the series. I'm sure that what they do next is going to be great. I hope they bring back the horse, because that would be interesting, and like more Launchpad, and Scrooge just needs to be a little more Scroogier, I think. You know what I mean? And bring up more gold. So yeah, that's what I think.
Well, you're in luck, because I'm going to be more Scroogier right now, and I'm going to give this show a very low rating. By very low, though, to be perfectly honest, it's actually really close to Rico's. A 7.5 is what I'm actually giving this first episode. 7.5. It's better than I expected. I mean, maybe not better. I enjoyed it more than I expected. It was a very easy watch. It was imperfect, but there were no like major glaring, faults. There were just like little things here and there that I would have, adjusted. But for the most part, I watched it. It was a very easy watch, just totally fine. 7.5. They've earned it. But question number 2 is the real toughie. For the purposes of this podcast, we all watched the first episode of DuckTales entitled Woo Ooh. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Rico E. Anderson, would you, of your own volition, watch the second episode?
Yes.
Take your time.
I would, because I see where they're what they're. I like the setup, and I would be eager for more. So I would definitely watch the second episode.
Nice. What about you, Beth?
Oh, I would, in spite of my very low rating. It almost gives me a feel of Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? How they go on these adventures and they try to find, these ghosts, and it always turns out to be not what you think. But I would, yeah. And if not simply just for Dewey, because I just think he's just the coolest character. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what other adventures are going to go on and what direction they're going to take with all of it. So I would 100% watch the second one.
Very nice.
Bethany, you should get a Dewey like sweatshirt or T-shirt or something.
Oh, I'll go on Amazon right after this and see if they have one.
Because you have a special affinity for Dewey, and that type of love deserves something on a coffee cup or a T-shirt.
I have to say it like loud and proud. Like, yeah. I love Dewey. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Dewey, do we have 3 yeses here for the next episode? And the answer is no, we do not, because I'm going to say that no, I would not watch the second episode. Not because I'm mad. I'm certainly not mad at this show. But I got, it was fine. I was happy with it. It's not a hard no, but I'm like, I was pleased and, relatively impressed with what they did. Lesson learned. I understand it, and I'm ready to move on. I don't need to watch the rest of it. So, I'm a soft no, but it's a no nonetheless. But good job, DuckTales, created by Disney. You made me realize what I was missing all of these years when I was watching Rhino Saucers, the weirdest name in cartoons ever. Somebody watching remembers Rhino Saucers. Somebody knows what I'm talking about here, actually.
Rhino Saucers and what it's all about.
I've never even heard of that show.
I type in Rhino Saucers and it says, "Did you mean dinosaurs?" No, dude, I mean Rhino Saucers, just like I said. Here it is. So they were kind of like, they were like dinosaurs from a spaceship or something with like armor on that would battle each other. See, like I think the good guys are on the right here, and these guys are obviously the bad guys on the left. So I'm like, come on, as a kid, of course I like that show better than DuckTales.
Okay. Huh. I love how the 2 dinosaurs at the top, they're all...
Yeah. They all like have like a counterpart,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. Nope.
Not your speed.
That would be a hard no for me.
WTF, everybody, WTF in the comments below. WTF. rhino saucers, and we'll bring Beth back to watch it, and she will be like, I've seen the light. It's so good.
Right.
Oh, you have such faith in me.
Yeah.
You're like, Dewey who? What's his Dewey we speak of?
All right. So now it's time for us to go, everybody, but we've really enjoyed our time together. And in the comments below, just let us know what you'd like us to review. Type WTF and whatever show it is. Remember, this month in March, we are doing rebooted cartoons. So all these old cartoons like DuckTales or like He-Man that have been rebooted sometime in the last 10 years, we'll do them, maybe. And that's about it. What I'm trying to say is, and please give this video a like and make sure you are subscribed. I know we've got over 1 million subscribers, but we need more. It's like currency. We need more. It's very important. And what I'm trying to say is this podcast has less subscribers than Scrooge McDuck has coins in his diving pool.
Oh, touche.
DuckTales is Disney doing it again.
Dewey. Nice.
You did there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You got one for us, Beth?
We stopped that last one.
Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Do it. Do it.
Do it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. DuckTales has more personality than the headless horseman. Yeah, no, I got nothing.
No, that was factual. That was actually true. So that's about it, everybody. We'll see you next time. And always remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg likes to say.
Don't forget to be a donor, and don't forget to watch the first of things.
That's an organ donor, of course. All right, freeze frame like your favorite character.
I don't know what this character is.